Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles in week 3. Gosh, what a matchup. How are the Rams going to win this game? Well, we'll talk about that next on this Keys to Victory episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's my friend Mark over there. And if you're on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the notification bell. Don't miss an upload of video, an episode of anything Rams related from our channel this entire 2025 season. And if you're on the audio only or podcast only side of things, share this podcast. And any of those options helps other Rams fans to see our content. And me and Mark very, very much appreciate it. But before we get started, we have a quick message from our sponsor of this video, MyBookie.
Yeah, so we've teamed up with MyBookie. You jump on their website, use promo code RAMSUP, and you get $500 fully covered bets for first-time users. You got to jump on this. It's a great deal. And we'll be throwing out some tidbit suggestions here and there. I don't have any bets for this week to recommend, although I recommend you don't follow my lead on picks. But last week, Skunkworks Analytics, they gave us that Atlanta money line over the Vikings, and I was scratching my head. Are you sure about that? And it was spot on. So we'll try to give you some hints later in the week. But MyBookie, promo code RAMSUP, jump on it. I think you'll be very happy.
All right, everyone. The biggest matchup this week, by far, in my opinion, Mark. But before I jump the gun here, how you doing, my friend? You enjoying the weather down there in the south?
Yeah, we got some thunderstorms. Well, actually, I don't know if it were technically thunderstorms. Maybe it will be later tonight, but got some rain, some warm clouds and rain. It was kind of nice, actually. Nice change.
Nice. I think out here in LA, I'm starting to see some clouds and wind roll in. So I think that's making its way out here as well. But hey, the game will not be at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. The game will be in the city of brotherly love. I always have a chuckle over that saying. How true is that? That's up for you to decide. But I know where I lean on that. But Rams versus Eagles, everyone, week 3 of this 2025 campaign. And I can't think of another game that's going to be as high stakes as this one for a week 3 matchup. Right, Mark? I mean, dude.
Yeah, I was talking about there's another game this week that's pretty enticing, Lions-Ravens, and I was talking to someone about it, and I see the Lions-Ravens as a lot of fireworks, and the Rams-Eagles is gonna be more of a fist fight at the line of scrimmage is what it's gonna be, I think. So yeah, it's I like this Rams-Eagles matchup. I think both teams are clearly, top 2 of the top 3 teams in the NFC for sure. And big game could decide home field advantage in the playoffs.
Yep, and that is why I believe this is the biggest matchup because yes, Lions Ravens is fun. Oh, Super Bowl preview. I know some people are saying, some professionals out there. And hey, sure, should be a lot of high scoring, but there's not more on the line than I believe this Rams Eagles game, right? For playoff potential seeding, which is massive. NFC standing seeding in case Rams or Eagles do lose it. What seed are they? Rams are trying to keep pace and win as many games as possible as Arizona's winning. 49ers are winning with backups. Seattle's 1-1. So, things can change in a blink of an eye if the Rams lose this game. And they haven't played an NFC team yet. So their wins don't weigh as much, even though they're 2-0. They've been to AFC teams in the playoff tie-breaking standings, everyone. NFC games that you've won matter more. And then what matters most is obviously NFC West games you've won matter the most. But this is huge, man. Huge, huge matchup. Whether it was going to be here in LA or in Philly, there's a lot at stake in this week 3 matchup. So, how about the history between these two teams, Mark? A rich history, honestly. And what is that head to head record overall in terms of both teams? So, your Los Angeles Rams, our Los Angeles Rams are 18-23-1. What a tie in there. I didn't expect that after researching all this. So a losing record in the regular season, unfortunately, but tied with the Philadelphia Eagles 2-2 in the playoffs, which is pretty fun. And obviously last year's divisional round was one of those playoff losses, but we'll get to some of that other stuff in a bit here. Mark, are you shocked that we're tied within the playoffs? I expected more wins. I don't know why I feel like in the past we've beaten them more in the tournament, but we only played each other 4 times. I thought it was more, honestly.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure, but I know we beat them. We'll talk about it in a minute on the way to one of our Super Bowls. Beat Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
A really good game, competitive game. The history of these teams is interesting. It's been a little streaky and lately in favor of the Eagles, but
Yeah.
yeah, they have a pretty good rivalry going here for two teams that don't really play each other that much.
Oh yeah, it's just a heavyweight showdown, and the rivalry is real, right? Sean McVay hates the tush push. Said it isn't a football play. He's part of the competition committee that brings things to the forefront of the NFL offices and Goodell and ownership and other head coaches and say, hey, we should change this. This is better for the game. And Sean McVay's been a proponent of get that damn play out of this league. He's been vocal about it. He's not shied away from it. And he's said it a lot nicer than that. But he's been a big proponent. Get that tush push out of the NFL. It's not a football play. So there's a little, I'm sure the Eagles are probably like, yeah, screw that McVay guy and his competition committee friend. So there's something building there outside of just the games themselves. So we'll see what happens. But speaking of the last 5 games against Philadelphia, not great. And if we even go back a little bit further, which would be McVay's first matchup with them and with MVP Carson Wentz when we blew out his knee and his career was never the same. Sucks for him when we lost that shootout in the Coliseum. McVay has not beaten the Eagles when they've been well put together. The only win was in 2020 when that same season, Doug Peterson was fired, coaches were fired, obviously the coaching staff as a whole. Jalen Hurts took over as a starter. Carson Wentz, after getting a mega payday, was see you later, just like Jared Goff, pretty much, and what a turning point that was for that Eagles organization as they were in flux. That is the only time Sean McVay's beat them. When the franchise, the team, the quarterback, the head coach, the coaching staff, all were not in a great place. That is the only time the McVay Rams have beaten them, Mark, dating back not just these last 5 games, but even that 6th game, which would be the 2017 shootout. So it hasn't been good, Mark. Hasn't been
Yeah,
good.
and another perspective on it, my special assistant shared this with me. Pulled it off one of the social media sites. I'm not sure which one, but over the Rams' last 11 games, aside from the Week 18 game where they basically played a lot of backups, they are 9-2, 9-0 against the rest of the league, other than the Eagles. They lost the 2 losses, both coming to the Eagles. So McVay desperately wants to figure out this Eagles team and get a W in the column for sure.
Yeah. So again, the only time McVay's Rams have beaten the Eagles is when the organization was in flux and they were having issues at every critical spot. So when they're got their act together, we don't beat them, which is crappy, but that's just the facts. And how about that last matchup, everyone? Of course, the heartbreaking second round, divisional round playoff game that we lost 28-22. I swore on the football gods after Puka Nacua caught that bomb down the sideline over Darius Slay. I was like, holy crap, Matthew Stafford's going to do it. And what would have happened if our O-line wasn't dumb enough to leave Jalen Carter one-on-one. He would have thrown a game-winning touchdown to Tyler Higbee in the middle of the field. Why do I say that? Because on the all-22, CJ Gardner-Johnson literally slips in the snow, and Tyler Higbee is wide open in the middle of the field, and he would have ran it in for a touchdown. Now, there would have been some time left. Yes, there could have been a Hail Mary attempt, and who knows then. But Jalen Hurts threw the ball terribly that day. If you look at the stats here, 128 total yards compared to Matthew Stafford's 324 and 2 touchdowns. Williams had a 106 rushing yards, but he had the critical fumble. That was a bummer. Saquon absolutely annihilated us again, 205 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Tyler Higbee should have had 2 touchdowns, but only finishes with 54 yards as a leading wide receiver. And then Saquon Barkley was their leading pass catcher with 4 receptions for 27 yards. So, crappy thinking about that, how that team should have lost. We should have beat them. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. We didn't make the plays. It is what it is, Mark. But that's the last matchup, man. We played them tough, but wasn't enough.
Yeah, you can, highlight the Eagles' anemic passing offense in that game, but when you're rushing for 205 yards, your primary running back. But it would have been kind of ironic if a slip in the snow had allowed an LA team to beat the Eagles in Philadelphia. That would have been a little extra sweet.
Yeah. And, leaving Jalen Carter one-on-one on a critical down was just the dumbest thing I saw. And whether you want to blame Bo Limmer, whether you want to blame Kevin Dotson, I blame the coaching staff the most for not driving it into our players' skulls. You see number 98, you double team that man. And obviously everyone deserves blame, but I put the most on the coaching staff for not, highlighting that enough in that last matchup. So team lost, team didn't do enough, and it is what it is, but we're into a new season. But that's the last matchup's results. But in the grand scheme of Rams and Eagles history, a fun game was that 2001 NFC Championship game you're referring to, Mark, as that was the last super, super high-stakes game, right? Rams 29, Eagles 24 with Marshall Faulk in the navy and gold uniforms then, as they made the switch, running for 159 and 2 touchdowns. And some other fun stuff, if you didn't know, Rams have not lost the Eagles in the 1950s and 1960s. And overall, the Eagles have won 9 out of the last 10. Not even just the McVay tenure has been rough. The last 10 matchups overall has been crappy. And obviously the last meeting was that divisional round as a whole. But the last high-stake game, Mark, that Rams won was that 2001 NFC Championship, where unfortunately we did lose to the Brady dynasty, the very first one of that dynasty. But this game has a similar feel. Not a playoff game, but one that has super high leverage that I think the Rams have to take seriously like a playoff game, just like that NFC Championship game, just like the divisional round, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to mention this at some point, and maybe now is a good time. McVay being so opposed to the tush push, and I'm wondering if there was some video going around of the Eagles offensive line getting the jump on the snap on that one tush push. It was pretty obvious, and it went uncalled. And maybe they'll be looking at that a little bit closer this week, and maybe that will give the Rams a little bit of an edge defending the tush push. But there's a few different wrinkles to this matchup. There's the Jared Verse aspect. Him and the Eagle fans have a little thing going on. I think it's a healthy dislike / respect thing going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared Verse just soaks it up. He's one guy that will walk into that and just embrace it and have fun with it. So, there's a few other aspects to this game. Adds up to a really a game to be really excited about. I can't wait for it.
Yep, I can't wait for it. So let's dissect this Eagles roster, everyone, as unanimously across majority of NFL professional analysts, TV, website alike, whether it would be up-and-comers like you and I, Mark, or any other Eagles, Rams, or just NFL content creators, everyone realized that this Eagles roster is pretty dang stacked. And especially that offense, right? But what is the base offense that the Eagles run, well, very similar to ours. They run 11 personnel majority of the time. Yes, they run 12 personnel, 2 tight ends and other stuff, but they want to line up, have the offense be very spread out, similar to ours, have wide receivers all available, and then one running back, run one tight end, there. So 11 personnel is their main, offensive grouping, their standard, their base, whatever word you want to call it. And in this Eagles offense, Mark, it's pretty damn stacked. Shocker. You have here, if you're tuning in on YouTube and watching along with us, you see a bunch of red dots and green dots. Red dots meaning that player has been a Pro Bowler before. Green dot next to their name means they've been an All-Pro before. So there's a lot of red and green dots on this Eagles offensive depth chart if you are watching on YouTube. Starting with wide receiver A.J. Brown, baller, Pro Bowler, All-Pro. Jordan Mailata, not a Pro Bowler, but an All-Pro. Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens on the O-line have been Pro Bowlers. Tyler Steen, who is a new starting right guard for them, has looked pretty solid. Well, I bet he'll be a Pro Bowler one day. It just feels like Eagles all linemen are that way. Lane Johnson, Pro Bowler, All-Pro. You got Pro Bowl-esque, or I shouldn't say that, but a really damn good tight end, Dallas Goedert. You got Jahan Dotson, a former first-round pick that Eagles traded for from Washington. How crazy is that? And then Devontae Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, who's excellent. Saquon Barkley, the unstoppable force of last year, Pro Bowler, All-Pro. And then Jalen Hurts has been a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in his career as well. Woo!
Yeah. For me, it's all about the offensive line and running back, though, right? It really is. I mean, Jalen Hurts rises to the occasion in the playoffs, but in these games, it's going to come down to that offensive line and the running game. I think the Rams secondary matches up fairly well, even without Witherspoon. Matches up fairly well with these receivers, I think. Although Witherspoon was instrumental in holding down, I think it was A.J. Brown that he was matched up with in the playoff game, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was Smith, but whoever he was matched up with, didn't allow much to happen when he was on the field. So it's all about Barkley. We'll talk about that in a minute, though.
Yeah, we will. So that everyone out there, this Eagles offense is stacked. Best O-line in football, in my opinion, by far. And it's a tough group to defend, right? But we'll get more specific with them in a bit. But how about this Eagles defense? Well, they run a 4-3 base defense. And of course, they're going to do heavy nickel and they'll have dime and whatever other unique packages and groupings and formations, of course. But at their core, they are a 4-3 defense, which is different than ours. As you see the visual here, they have traditional 2 D tackles, 2 traditional D ends that would be in a 3-point stance, not standing up like our Jared Verse and Byron Young. They're outside linebackers, technically, and they stand up on the edge. These DNs are just like D linemen, hand in the dirt. And sometimes our guys will have hand in the dirt too, but more traditionally, these bigger body DNs who you don't want dropping in the coverage like you might see Jared or Byron every once in a while. These DNs do not. And then that's the 4 out of the 4-3 at the front. And then the 3, meaning 3 linebackers. And you do see, hey, Ian, they also have outside linebackers, but they're not like our Jared Verse or Byron Young. Those guys stand up behind all the D linemen next to the middle linebacker. And then, of course, your 2 corners and 2 safeties. So that is the base defense of the Eagles. They run a 4-3 defense, very different than what we do. 3-4. And to the roster in the depth chart here, a good group, right? They have Nolan Smith Jr., one of their high draft picks, playing the edge as a starter or their D end. Then you have Pro Bowl Jalen Carter, who screwed our game-winning touchdown at the last matchup. He's a force to be reckoned with. You have the big-bodied Jordan Davis there at D tackle. You have Moro. I can't even say his name right now. Ojama. There you go. I'm going to make sure I didn't mess that up badly. You have him as a D tackle. You have Jalen Hunt as another DN guy. Also with Zadarius Smith rotating in. He's a former Pro Bowl guy as well. Then you have out of nowhere All-Pro Pro Bowler Zach Bond as the mic. Then a draft pick we really liked, and we'll get to their draft pick shortly overall, Mark, but Jihad Campbell starting in for the injured Nakobe Dean. Quinyon Mitchell was a fantastic rookie. Adoree Jackson, for all you USC fans out there in the LA greater area, he's their new starting corner. Then Cooper DeJean, a great draft pick by them. Reed Blankenship, and then you got Sidney Brown, and then Andrew Makuba, who is playing really well right now. And then Josh Uche, who's a former starter that rotates in, used to be with the Patriots, who was someone I would have been down to sign as a rotational guy. And then you might see their Byron Young, right? Not ours. He'll rotate in a little bit too in the D tackle spot. And then maybe you see some Ty Robinson every now and then as well. But a good group. I don't think this group is as good as last season, right? No more Darius Slay, no more CJ Gardner-Johnson, no more I forgot his first name. I'm blanking. Apologies, everyone. Williams, who signed the big contract as a D tackle that went to the Patriots, right? He had a fantastic day in the Super Bowl. I just think overall this team, starters and depth, isn't as good, but they're still damn good, led by Vic Fangio, Mark.
Yeah, and Cooper DeJean, he really locked down Cooper Kupp last year. I
Yeah.
think that was maybe the
Cooper
last
on
straw
Cooper
for
crime, man.
right, and that was
White on white
probably
crime, some people would say.
and that might have been the last straw for Sean McVay and Cooper Kupp. But Jordan Davis, one of the best in the league, and Zach Bond, if I'm not mistaken, did he miss the playoff game? He might have. If he didn't miss the playoff game, he missed the regular season game against us. But he's a complete middle linebacker, kind of the heart and soul of that defense, really.
Yeah,
And yeah,
he's fantastic. It's a good group. And again, it's all about Vic Fangio, right? As yes, I did say earlier they run a 4-3. Vic Fangio is rooted in the 3-4, and they kind of are hybrid-esque, right? Again, I did mention they run the 4-3. That is what they rooted in. Vic Fangio's kind of morphed. He's been slowly trying to morph it into a 3-4, and you see a lot more of that going on now. But at their core, I see a lot more 4-3-esque stuff. But that may change when we show up on Sunday, right? But for a long, long time, 4-3 guys. Now they're starting to morph into a 3-4. But they're very multiple with Vic Fangio, right? A lot of these players still fit the 4-3 scheme, and they try to implement those lineups and all that, Mark, overall. So, again, whether it's 4-3, 3-4, this group is good. They're coached by one of the best. Sean McVay, foams at the mouth for the Fangio defense, and we run very of it. Worship Fangio not too long ago. Feels like every time he talked about him. So it's going to be a tough matchup, Mark, for sure.
yeah, it's going to be, like I said, a fist fight at the line of scrimmage, I think. And I think both defenses may win the day. Well, we'll talk about it more in a minute. But two really good defenses. Rams defense is, I think, improved from last year. So it's going to be a very telling game as far as racking and stacking the NFC moving forward.
It will. And then how about those specialists, real quick, everyone, for all you kickers and punters out there, fans? Jake Elliott's been a Pro Bowler, and he's had some rough moments, but he seems like he's gotten his kicking leg back, and he's making long, accurate field goals. Then you have Brandon Mann punting the ball. You have Jahan Dotson as a punt returner. He's dangerous. Will Shipley is a good kick returner. And then they traded for Tank Bigsby to be back there and return some kicks as well, as he was a good running back for Jacksonville, in my opinion. And kind of crazy Jacksonville let him go, as Jaguars. Shout out to our old Ram guys leading the charge over there, but they got some work to do, in my opinion. So hey, there's your Eagle specialist. They got a Pro Bowl kicker. He can kick long field goals just like every other kicker this season.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. For whatever damn reason. But how about the best players on this Eagles roster? There are a lot of them, but we narrowed it down to 5, maybe 4, depending on how you want to look at it. We'll explain that more as we go on. But how about the first best player from this Eagles roster, in our opinion here on Rams Up? That would be A.J. Brown, the Pro Bowler, the All-Pro. But shockingly, Mark, before we go deeper on him, he's had a crappy start to the season, and it's not necessarily his fault. But as of right now, 6 catches, 35 yards, 0 touchdowns in 2 games, with him averaging only 5.8 yards per catch right now. That's pretty shocking. Now, putting that aside, dude is a baller. He has elite speed. He has great ball tracking in the air. He can find it. He can run under it. He can snag it. He's good at the back shoulder. He's a big body to moss you. No matter what his stats look like through these first 2 games, and they are pretty shocking, and that's really not an indictment on him and what he can do. He's dangerous. He is an all-pro level player, and he's someone to fear, especially with Ahkello Witherspoon out. But we'll get to those keys of victory later. But one of their best players, Mark, A.J. Brown.
Yeah, and I had that Titans guy on last week, and they're still lamenting the loss of AJ Brown going over to the Eagles, and he basically AJ Brown basically got the GM there fired by how well he
Yeah,
performed with the Eagles last year with 1,079 yards. So he's off to the whole Eagles offense really is off to a little bit of a slow start, especially the passing game.
yeah.
So hopefully that continues.
No kidding. Oh, geez Louise. But a dangerous guy. He can go off at any moment, and I would be worried. And I will be worried about him this entire game. But he is no doubt one of their best players. A.J. Brown, the all-pro wide receiver. Dangerous, dangerous guy. But who is another best player for these Philadelphia Eagles? And that would be cornerback, defensive back, Quinyon Mitchell, as he was a fantastic rookie last year, played fantastic. He was easily their best corner. You have people, Eagles fans saying, Guantanamo Bay, like Guantanamo Bay. He was locking guys up. That's a funny nickname that they had for him. And he's having a nice start to his season right now. Again, only played 2 games. He's had a fumble recovery, right? A little scoop and score. Not scoop and score. A little scoop for 6 yards. Excuse me. I read that wrong. And then tackles. He's got, right now, 7 tackles. He's got an assisted tackle. He's got a pass defended, but he's doing a good job in coverage, right? He has that skill set where he's able to play zone. He's got the good technique, I'm sure, getting coached by Fangio to play some man-to-man. Now, does he travel a ton? I think as time goes on, maybe they'll ask him to do that a lot more. I mean, he has that capability, in my opinion. And he is somebody that has the chance to be one of the best corners in football, at least a cover corner in general, Mark. So he's a damn good player, and he's one of their best for sure on that Eagles roster.
Yeah, I still remember him in the draft. He was one of those guys that was getting all kinds of love. Played at Toledo, by the way, of all places. And I had this suspicion that, maybe it was, how some of these small school guys get all pumped up and then they end up going in the second or third round. Well, the Eagles selected him early along with Cooper DeJean, and they got themselves 2 rock solid cornerbacks. Yeah, he is a great player.
Yeah, he is. He's a damn good player for sure, and someone we have to account for and know where he's going to be lining up. But who is our next best player? Oh, what a shocker. The guy who screwed up our game-winning drive, Jalen Carter, their defensive tackle. Now, whether he spits on somebody or not out of spite, we'll see this upcoming game as he got himself ejected in week 1 before even a snap was played on offense or defense for any team. That was crazy to see, Mark, if you were watching that
Yeah.
live. And with his stats, again, he's only played in this week 2 matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, but he was disruptive and looked like the Pro Bowl, all-pro level guy. And even Vic Fangio shockingly called him out of shape. Jeez Louise, if this is an out-of-shape Jalen Carter, this guy's killer. So in this last game, he had 2 combined tackles. He had a solo tackle. He had an assisted tackle. He had a tackle for loss overall. And then he had 3 quarterback hits, and then he had some really good pressures. No sacks, any of that, as Mahomes was scrambling or he was getting the ball out fast or just buying time. But he was a difference maker. He would have been an incredible difference maker against the Cowboys in week 1 of the kickoff game. And we've seen it firsthand. You block this man one-on-one in a pass rush situation, we don't have an interior lineman that can handle him. That's just the truth. We don't. He needs to be double teamed. And again, that's going into keys to the victory. But dangerous, dangerous player, can stop the run, can rush the passer, can get pressure. He's a Pro Bowl, all pro level player, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly one of the top 2 or 3 defensive tackles, interior defensive linemen in the league, if not the best. And yeah, it lost at last that opening day. I don't know. Well, you can read what happened there with him and Dak Prescott a lot of different
I
ways.
know.
I think they're both a little bit dirty on that exchange. But yeah, the Rams are going to have to figure that out, especially if Steve Avila can't go. Yeah, it's probably the Barkley on the offense, Carter on the defense. Those are the things we're going to have to worry about.
We are going to have to worry about him for sure. Locate him every single play. Know where he is lined up. Point him out, offensive lineman. Find out where that man is going to attack and double team him, please. And again, that's going to how we're going to win the game, but that's the type of threat that he is. And it's really, really annoying that they have a guy like that. And on this next quote unquote best player, me and Mark cheated. We are saying the entire Eagles offensive line, right? Could we have picked future Hall of Famer Lane Johnson? Could we have picked All Pro Jordan Mailata? Could we have gone any of those guys individually? Absolutely. But the entire O line, again, if you need a reminder, left tackle Jordan Mailata, left guard Landon Dickerson, center Cam Jurgens, new right guard Tyler Steen, and then right tackle Lane Johnson. This is no doubt about it, the best run blocking offensive line and the best pass blocking offensive line through these first 2 weeks. I don't even think it's a debate. Watching their film, they are so damn good. They are so damn big and athletic, and it is the O-line that every offensive coach wished that they had. And I know McVay wishes he had an O-line as good as this. And shout out to our guys. I like our guys, but they are absolutely spoiled out there in Philadelphia for yet again building up an O-line that is the best in the NFL, Mark.
Yeah, and Jason Kelsey retired, and all the anybody going up against the Eagles was like, okay, they're going to be a drop off there. There really hasn't been. This is still a monster offensive line, and maybe it explains it goes a long way to explaining the trouble the Rams have had slowing down Barkley. Right? These guys get downfield too. On a couple of those Barkley runs, you could see these guys downfield 15, 20 yards laying out people. So, yeah, they're really athletic.
Yeah, it's just like, gosh dang it, man. Just another crazy thing you got to worry about, right? And our next guy, I don't think comes as a shock, who benefits the most from having the best offensive line in the NFL, in our opinion here. And that would be this man, Saquon frickin' Barkley. And I say frickin' because, my God, the Rams can't stop this man in Kelly green, Eagles midnight green, whatever colors they are, black, silver, white, no matter what shade of green he's wearing, we can't stop him. And it's insane that he's absolutely kicked our ass this bad in 2 straight games. So what are his stats in this 2025 campaign thus far, everyone? Well, rushing, he's carried the ball about 40 times, pretty good workload over 2 games. He has 148 rushing yards. Right now, only averaging about 3.7 yards per rush. But I think a lot of teams are just loading up the box, really trying to say, hey, we're going to sell out to contain Barkley. We're so worried about it. But hey, he's got 2 touchdowns. He's got a long of 16. He hasn't had some crazy breakout run yet. And then receiving wise, he has 6 catches for about 30 yards, averaging 5 yards a catch as, check down, flat, whatever it is. But the dude absolutely embarrassed us 2 games in a row. And you could say, Ian, they held him for majority of the game. Well, the times they didn't, he broke away and it was a disaster. I was there that Sunday night game last year where he ripped us a new one twice. That sucked. And then Philly playoff game ripped us a couple. That sucked. And we just do not have an answer for him, Mark. And behind the O-line, playing with A.J. Brown on the outside, Devontae Smith and all that, he is just that much more dangerous. And he is by far one of their best players.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Well, I think we know what the Eagles are going to do. They're going to give the ball to Barkley a lot,
Yeah.
and this is a test. I've been previous podcasts that I'm not convinced this Rams run defense is where it needs to be. And, they've gone against the Texans and the Titans, too. I would call mediocre to middling offensive lines, rushing attacks. And now we go up against the Eagles, a great offensive line and a great running back. And this is what we're going to find out if Nate Landman and Puna Ford are the additions that help solve this problem.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be better. I would hope we're going to be better, but
No.
um, it's all about stopping this guy, man. That's all there is to it.
That is all there is to
Slowing
it.
him down a little bit at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, my God. We just contain this man from breaking out a super run on us. Jeez, the freaking wheeze, right? But Rams Nation, how about again some draft picks of note for fun? As we talked about Jihad Campbell, he was a player me and Mark really liked to fill the inside linebacker role and even plays some rushing edge, right? Andrew Makuba has been fantastic from Texas. He's been good, and then you have Small Mandin, and then you have Kyle McCord, who was somebody we like, but didn't really work out there. And rookie quarterbacks, you never really know, truthfully. So a good group there for sure, Rams Nation, in terms of the draft picks contributing immediately, which is crazy. And the last two matchups as a whole, let's look at that real quick, right? Squeaked out that 24-20 win over the Cowboys, right? Jalen Hurts was our leading rusher, only threw for 152 yards. They beat the Chiefs 20-17 in that rematch of a Super Bowl game. Hurts just 101 passing yards. Barkley finished with 22 for 88 and then one touchdown. And then Hurts only threw for 152. So keep that in mind. What has gone on? They're still winning. O-line's still kicking ass, in my opinion. They still got fantastic players. That defense is still playing really good despite new guys in there. They got a good momentum. They haven't lost in, the last 18 games they've played. And again, players have been swapped out for others. But the culture is there. The winning ways are there. And they're continuing it into our matchup coming up this Sunday, Mark.
Yeah, I got a copy paste there, but he threw for 152 in the opening game and 101 in the second. But needless to say, both outputs were. Yeah, I have not watched either of these games, at least not a lot of them, and I'm guessing that they're just doing what works, and they don't really need to rely on the passing game, and they're just going to play, tough grind it out football, let their defense win games, and that's been working for them. Two wins, two narrow, tightly contested games. They're not blowing people out, so they are certainly beatable, as both the Cowboys and Chiefs almost demonstrated. And the Rams may be their biggest test yet.
It's certainly feeling that way, Mark, but I think it's time. What are our keys to victory to beat these Philadelphia Eagles? Eagles, again, winning 9 out of the last 10. McVay is 1-5 against these Eagles in his tenure. No matter who the coach has been and the players have been overall, he just has not found success against this other successful franchise, and it's been puzzling and frustrating. But with that said, Mark, I think we got to pull up the injury report and talk about that, right? And with that injury report, everyone, this is Wednesday, right? Guys could heal up, guys could play. We don't know the final game status, but we have an idea of what's what on this Wednesday afternoon as we talk to you. So on the Rams side of thing, Steve Avila didn't play last week because of his ankle injury, and he did not practice again. Not great. Braden Fisk, who injured his oblique. Again, your oblique is one of your muscles in the core by your stomach, more towards the outside, almost close to your abs, that area. He injured that in pregame warmups, played against Tennessee, but didn't get the full starting workload and didn't play the whole lot. He played like a backup in terms of a snap count. So he did not practice. That ain't great. Devontae Adams and Rob Havenstein had veteran rest days, so don't freak out if you're on YouTube with us reading that. And then Colby Parkinson is limited after he had his shoulder sprain, and he's probably on track to suit up for game day. On the Philadelphia Eagles side of thing, their backup running back Will Shipley also has an oblique injury. He did not practice. Jalen Carter has a shoulder issue, but he practiced. Dallas Goedert had a knee issue, but he practiced. And then Tanner McNee, their quarterback, had a right thumb issue, but he also practiced. So Rams on that interior, Mark, the spots that we need everyone, all hands on deck. Those guys are probably a 50-50 as of today, maybe even less on playing against these Eagles. That's not good. Steve Oliver,
Yeah.
Mark.
And Fisk played really well in the opening game, and remember he got hurt in the game against the Eagles, missed most
Yeah,
of that game.
jeez
So
Louise.
we would love to see what how much his contribution would help in a 60-minute game. So hopefully, all we can do is cross our fingers those guys are good to go. But I think what the Rams are going to do is rotate a lot of defensive linemen in there. I would expect Laurel Murchison, Ty Hamilton to contribute just like they did last week to
Yeah.
pick up the slack if Fisk can't go. And maybe we'll see our first sighting of Deshaun Johnson. They're going to need a big rotation to deal with this offensive line of the Eagles.
Yeah, we're gonna need all hands on deck. So hopefully those two guys heal up and we will need them. But how about some other important, stats that you should be paying attention to as we have here? Eagles offense versus Rams defense, and then Rams offense versus Eagles defense. So if you're not on YouTube with us, I suggest looking at this, pulling up the video. But if you're on the audio only, we'll run through these one by one very quickly. So Eagles offense. Very, very surprising stats here, Mark. They are 22nd in points per game, which is 16. They're on the bottom half, middle of the league, but on the bottom half, you could say, right? Yards per game, 259, which would be ranked 29th. Who would have thought that going into this season? Rushing, they're top 10 as they are 7th with 140 rushing yards per game, right? Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts running around, scrambling for yardage, quarterback runs, tush push, all that. They're a top 10 unit. Not a shock with that O-line. Passing, they are 119 per game, and that puts them at 31st in the entire NFL. That is with A.J. Brown, one of their best players. Devontae Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, who is a Pro Bowl level guy. That is with Jahan Dotson, the former first round pick, excuse me. Then you have Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. That is shocking. Absolutely shocking, Mark. I think you're muted.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have a respectable defense. Maybe contributed that to that a little bit. Dallas, I think, is I don't think they're necessarily a highly formidable defense, so it is
No, they just got
surprising.
air raided by Russell Wilson.
Yeah, right.
Like, anyway, let's go on,
Yeah,
continue.
it's a young season, so you can't put too much weight on these stats, but still, 119 yards passing per game is a little bit alarming.
It's very alarming, and that benefits us. But hey, they've only let up 3 sacks, which is not crazy, right? That O line's still the best in the NFL in our opinion. That's not very terrible. And then how about the Eagles' defense through these first couple games? They've let up 18.5 points per game, so that puts them at 12th overall in the NFL. So they're in the upper tier. That's a good spot. Yards per game, they've only let up a total of 301 per game. That puts them in the top 10, 9th overall. That's a good spot. And then rushing yards, pretty interesting. Now, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with Jalen Carter not playing in game one. That's to skew that probably pretty mightily, in my opinion. But as of today, they're 120 yards given up per game. That puts them on the bottom tier of the league, 21st. But again, no Jalen Carter against Cowboys week one. That skewed it a lot with Javonte Williams running well on them. Passing yards, they're a top 10 unit, 181 only per game. That's pretty dang good. And then this is an interesting one too, though, Mark. Only 2 sacks through these couple games, which is a bottom tier stat for them. They're ranked 30th in the NFL. You think with all the other guys that they have, right, who are talented, no doubt about it, Nolan Smith, even Jordan Davis, even though he's not much of a pass rusher, but it feels like he could have an opportunity to clog up the middle and maybe get a sack. Zadarius Smith rotating in, and they're getting some pressure, but they're not getting home like you think they would. So I think that's pretty shocking, especially in this Fangio defense, Mark.
Yeah, it is, and, Patrick Mahomes is pretty good at, eluding the rush, and Dak Prescott's got pretty good pocket presence. Maybe that has a little bit to do with it, but still, compared to how many sacks the Rams have, a bit difference there. We'll talk about that in a second, but that's a positive stat for the Rams for sure.
Yeah, that's a positive stat. So how about this Rams defense? They are ranked number 1 in the entire NFL with only giving up 14 points per game. That is spectacular. Who would have thought that through a couple games that they would be ranked number 1? And we said it, they got to be a top 10 defense overall. That's a great start to it, right, Mark? Yards per game, they are ranked 4th. They are in the top 5 with only 259 given up per game. Rushing, not great. This is where I'm not excited to see this. And you think the addition of Poona Ford would have helped this a lot. It hasn't. You think Nate Landman with his run stuffing skills, it would be better. It hasn't been that much better, as they right now are ranked 18th in the entire league with giving up 112 yards rushing per game. I don't like that, Mark.
Yeah, and I hate to be pessimistic, and I've talked about this too many times, but our run defense, I think our safeties have been really playing better in the run game, defending the run,
Yeah.
especially Cam Kinchins. But it's early. There's still hope that this run defense is going to be. Remember what happened last year, right? Our defense got out. I got off to a really slow start, and they figured it out as the season went on. And we got some new guys there, and maybe that's what's happening. It's going to be an evolution, and they're eventually going to get where we want them to be. But it's kind of a bummer we're playing this great rushing attack week 3 when maybe we haven't quite figured it out yet. But this is Poona Ford and Nate Landman to, make a statement and help with the safeties. It's not just those two guys; it's everybody else. Braden Fisk, if he plays, he'll be a big help. Tyler Davis has been playing really well, especially in the pass rush department. So we'll
Yeah.
see, there's room for improvement and hopefully we'll start to see it.
Yep, and we need to see it this game, for God's sakes, please. But passing, they've been a top 5 unit. They're ranked 4th right now with only giving up 147 yards per game through the air. That's great news. So they're playing well in that department at least. And then in sacks, again, you can say, oh, Ian, they played the Houston Texans O-line who have remodeled. Oh, you're playing a remodeled Tennessee Titans offensive line. And that is all true. But if you're facing those remodeled O-lines, you got to kick their ass. And with that, the Rams are 2nd in the entire NFL right now with 8 sacks through 2 games. That is absolutely fantastic, Mark.
Yeah, and I saw a stat, I think I shared it with you, the number of rookies that have sacks of the last 3 years or something to that effect, and the Rams have like twice as many as any other team. Players that have been drafted in the last 3 years: Jared Verse, Byron Young, Braden
Yeah.
Fisk, Tyler Davis, all these guys getting home, Josiah Stewart. So yeah, there's a lot of young dudes that are just getting after it off the edge for the Rams and up the middle too. So that's gonna, we're gonna get the Jalen Hurts, just a matter of how many times.
Yes. Yes, we will. And I hope that's the case. It needs to happen for sure. But how about the Rams offense, everyone? 23.5 points per game puts them at 13th. All right. That's solid. We want to see them in the top 10 as we know they have it in them. We're getting there a little bit better after the week 2 performance. Then yards per game overall, they are in the top 10. That's good with 368 yards per game. That puts them at 7th overall. That's fantastic. And then this is one where I hope to see an improvement. I'm not like going to be as critical as I was with the Rams run defense, but Rams offense running the ball, they have 110.5 rushing yards per game. That puts them 16th, which is again on the bottom half of the league, but I expect that number to be better hopefully as time goes on. And then passing, we're a top 10 unit, 8th overall in the league with 257 yards in the air per game. And then the Rams offense has let up 4 sacks, averaging 2 a game. And, when you have a non-mobile quarterback, a traditional pocket passer who is 37, 38 years old, it's expected. He's not going to be able to run away from everybody. And there's times, Stafford's going to eat it there. But overall, as an offense, again, I want to see that rushing go up, Mark. But we're on a good path right now.
Yeah, and Blake Corum gives something another thing for the Eagles defense to think about too, right? What he showed
Yeah.
last week, and I think the Rams got to get him, 8 to 12 touches against the Eagles. They just have to because
Yep.
he's obviously got a little bit more pop than Kyron. So that's one thing I'm hoping to see.
Yeah, me too. And the turnover differential, right? Eagles are in the positive. They have +2 in the turnovers. They've got taken away the ball more than they've lost it. And the Rams are +1. They've taken it away more times than they've lost it, which is also good news for us. So there's your fun stats, everyone out there. And here we go, man. Offense, defense, special teams. What are these keys to victory to beat the Eagles? After we've given you the injury report, we've given you these team stats. Now it's time to share how the hell we're going to do it on that football field. So, offense, Mark, tell me what the Rams offense needs to do in your keys to victory to win this damn game.
Well, I feel fairly confident the Rams are going to be able to move the ball to some degree against this defense. It's going to be a bruising battle, but I've loved what I've seen from the Rams offense so far. Kyron, Blake Corum, Devontae, Puka, tight ends getting a little active too. Tyler Higbee looked really good
Yeah.
last week. I think it's going to come down to our red zone, right? We just got to finish drives in the red zone, and we've had issues with that against opponents like the Eagles. And we got to drive the field, but we got to finish the drives. Obviously, we're going to settle for a couple field goals here and there. Got to finish drives. That's what happened last year. That's why that basically kept us out of the Super Bowl, in my opinion, last year,
Yeah.
our inability to finish drives against the Eagles.
That's the truth, man. That's the freaking truth. And what are my keys to victory on offense, everyone? Can you please, for damn sake, double team that man, Jalen Carter, in the middle? For God's sakes, I do not want to see a critical third down or a second and long or any big passing down where we need big chunk yardage and Matthew Stafford has to chuck it. Do not block that man one on one. Please. If he kills our double team, then you just have to live with he is that damn good and you just eat it, right? I don't think I'm wrong to feel that way. But if you leave him one on one, that is setting yourselves up for failure. That is setting up the offense for failure, in my opinion. So hopefully the coaches, hopefully this O line, everyone said that, hey, Coleman Shelton coming in is going to help with communication and all that. But Bo Limmer was a good center last year, and I think he gets way too much blame for that end of scenario. Jalen Carter, ruining the comeback. He gets way too much blame for that. Again, the entire coaching staff, him, Kevin, the whole O-line deserves blame for it. So, okay, Rams coaching staff, you got your guy, Coleman Shelton, in there. He better be making the damn right calls and identifying that guy, Jalen Carter. And that's what I better see on Sunday. Or I just better see a greater effort, I guess I could say, with handling him. And of course, do well overall in the O-line. Give Stafford time to dissect. And you know what? This is kind of crazy to say. And, hey, sorry for all you SC guys out there, but they got to pick on Adoree Jackson. They have to find ways to isolate him, whether it would be with Puka or Devontae Adams or Tutu Atwell. I think, I'll throw Jordan Whittington in there. I think any of our core 4 receivers who play a lot, I think all of those guys could beat Adoree Jackson. He has not looked impressive to me. He had a better game against the Kansas City Chiefs, but he is the weakest link in that secondary by far. And it'll be interesting to see if Vic Fangio maybe wants Cooper DeJean on Devontae or Puka more, and I assume that may be the case. But find a way to pick on Adoree Jackson, and I think Matthew Stafford will have a lot of air success attacking the former USC man out there on the outside, Mark. And then, of course, run the football, play action, and then, just like we've seen the last couple of weeks with I'm enjoyed, continue Sean McVay. Let's keep doing that play action. Let's keep getting Stafford's launch point, right, or wherever he throws a football, away from Jalen Carter if he is kicking our asses and things aren't going well. So, again, please double team Jalen Carter, and let's pick on Adoree Jackson and prove have him prove to us that he can play some good coverage out there and he can handle our guys, which I don't think he can right now. So that's my keys to victory on offense, Mark.
Yeah, and I think the Rams did a fairly good job of neutralizing or minimizing the impact of Jeffrey Simmons last week. So more of the same dealing with Jalen Carter, I think.
Yeah. And again, if Steve Ollie is out, then I better see double teams every play. And even if he is playing, I still better see double teams every play pretty much, other than maybe a scenario where it's a screen pass or a quick pass, then okay. But hopefully Steve Avio plays. Him not playing is trouble. I do not like this matchup if he's not playing. Just like I didn't like last week's matchup, but shout out to Dedich, shout out to Bo, whoever's going to step in again if needed. They did an admirable job as a backup for sure. And Mark, we'll go back to the defense now. I mean, what are your keys to victory for this Rams defense to hold off this super ultra talented Eagles offense? Tell me.
Well, I think it's kind of obvious. I'm not going to throw out anything wild or crazy here. Every single Ram fan in the world, I think, knows what the key to winning on what the Rams defense needs to do. Now, it is complicated by the fact that Witherspoon's out, and this,
Big deal, man.
yeah, but you combine that with the fact that this Eagles passing attack hasn't been very impressive so far. The Rams just got to keep Barkley under wraps to some degree. I'm thinking, the number I came up with, if they could hold him to, 70, 80 yards, somewhere in that range, they have a really, really good shot of winning this game. Anything over that gets a little dicier. And if he goes off like he did, in previous games, so we're not going to have a good shot at winning this. It's all about, I don't know what the Rams are going to do to deal with that without, make their safeties are going to have to cover the top with these wide receivers. So it's going to be a little dicey, but they've got to, number one, shut down the run, and then hope that Jalen Hurts doesn't pick them apart in the passing game while that's happening. But yeah, Nate Landman, Puna Ford, Omar Spates, Tyler Davis, Ty Hamilton. This is your game. This is your deal. Shut down Barkley. That's the order of the day.
Well said, Mark. And what are my keys to victory, everyone? Sell out to stop Saquon Barkley. Just do it. You made a point to say Puna Ford was going to be a difference maker. You paid him serious starting money. Obviously not superstar money, but you paid him, hey, you are going to be big in helping us stop the run. And through a couple of weeks, hasn't been that impressive to me. He hasn't been bad. He hasn't sucked or anything like that, but he is not this all-world difference maker that I had hoped. But again, he's a good overall player, but I want to see more. And this is the week we find out how much more he has to give to our defense, right? Him, Leighton Landman, being the run-stopping linebacker, and he's had a hell of a start to a Rams career as a linebacker in general. He's up there with James Laurinaitis for the best couple games the beginning of a Rams career ever, which is, woof, that's really good, man. So you two on that defense, what are you going to do when Saquon Barkley is there in front of you? Are you going to get juked by him? Are you going to let him spin move and backwards leap over you and all that? Or are you going to man up and get this guy down to the ground? And what I need from everyone else on top of those free agent guys, and I would like to see, I should say better than that, is people need to be gap disciplined. A lot of Saquon Barkley's big runs and Jared Verse, the last big one, the last touchdown in that divisional round, and the film don't lie, everyone. Jared Verse said this afterwards as well. He left his responsible gap on the outside because Saquon was running to the middle, and he felt the need and the urgency to help out tackle Saquon in the middle. And Saquon, being the all-world athlete that he is, jump cutted all the way to Jared Verse's original gap where he should have been, and then scored that last touchdown where he's smacking his helmet in the snow, and everyone thought that the game was over at that point when the score became 28, whatever it was, 28-14, whatever the score was at that point. So I need everyone to be gap disciplined because this player has the ability to run full steam ahead and then jump cut a whole 2 bodies to the left or right and make you pay because you weren't in your responsible area. And that is what I need to see. And when I say sell out against the run, be gap responsible and get this guy to the damn ground. Again, it's not going to be easy going up against this number 1 overall offensive line. I get it, but I need them to sell out because if we can't stop the run, forget about it, dude. Forget about it. They have no shot at winning this game if they can't sell out and stop the run, in my opinion. Now, outside of that, because the Eagles' offensive passing game has been so piss poor, let's just be honest about it, Noah Witherspoon hurts. He would have been the man that would have followed around A.J. Brown majority of this game. And then you would have had Emmanuel Forbes running with Devontae Smith, and that would have been a good play. Now, with Akello out, I expect Emmanuel Forbes to go with A.J. Brown and then Kobe Durant to be with Devontae Smith. Now, are they going to go man-to-man a bunch? Maybe. We shall see. And we'll find out how good or not good Jalen Hurts is throwing the football, but he hasn't, forced anything, and he hasn't taken any chances. So I don't know if that'll change this week, but I have a weird feeling, Mark, Rams Nation out there. A.J. Brown and all them, he gets frustrated. He's probably heard the last couple of weeks, why is the Eagles offense so crappy passing? Why you're ranked 31st, yada, yada, yada. I have a feeling they're going to test us, and they're going to try to launch some down the field. So can these corners who are now thrusted into roles they probably weren't ever going to envision in themselves this season with everyone healthy, can they handle it? And we'll find out on that. So one more point. Can this Rams pass rush please contain Jalen Hurts from running to the outside? This Rams defense, for how good they are in a lot of categories that we stated, they are not good through 2 weeks with containing quarterbacks from running and scrambling to the outside. CJ Stroud did it a bunch. He ain't these running quarterbacks that you should fear, like Jalen Hurts. Cam Ward, he's an athletic guy, but he ain't this crazy runner scrambler like a Jalen Hurts. And for this Rams defense, for how talented they are up front, to allow those 2 guys to be able to do that, they have to do an excellent job with Jalen Hurts, or we don't win. We're not going to win this game because the Eagles win these last 2 based on Jalen Hurts tush pushing and scrambling and then Saquon running. They have not done anything through the air, and that is how they do it. And if we don't contain the scramble, contain him from running the outside, we're not going to win this game. So I'm calling upon you, Jared Verse. This is a big weakness in your game. I'm calling upon you, Byron Young. This is a big weakness in your game. We'll see how you do, Josiah Stewart. We'll see how you do, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, if you play. Tyler Davis, who lost contain on Cam Ward last game and let up the big touchdown where he couldn't get home. All you guys, I need to see them contain this quarterback and make him throw the ball to beat us. If we make Jalen Hurts throw the ball to beat us, we have a significantly better chance of winning than allowing him to run and allowing Saquon to run on us. And those are my keys to victory defense, long story short.
So you're just looking for a disciplined pass rush, contain the pocket, don't let him escape, make him throw the ball. The Barkley stat, we're talking about shutting down Barkley. Do you agree with me? I mean, we're not going to shut him down completely, but in that 70, 80 yards, we could survive that, right?
70, 80 yards total? Yeah, I
Right.
think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he had another 70, 80-yard one rush for a touchdown on us like he has the last 2 matchups, just based on how history has gone within the last calendar year. But, yeah, I mean, it's all about containing their run game. Saquon, Jalen, tush push, all that. You make this team be in 3rd and long. They can't run a tush push. Jalen Hurts has to beat you through the air or with his legs, which he's excellent at. And that's going to be the key, Mark. Contain this run game. Be disciplined when you're rushing and don't overshoot. And if you do make a very gambled dive at him, you better get his ass down or he's going to scramble and get a big chunk first down or something. So
Yeah, I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out what success will look like. What are we going to call success with a beast like Barkley? Is it just not necessarily the total yards? Is it just not letting them gash us for one big
Yeah.
long
How
run?
about not
Uh,
200 yards? That's a great start.
yeah,
Gee, I mean,
let's
geez
get it.
Louise. I'm not even kidding. Can we just hold this guy to less than 200, please? Total
Right,
yards.
right.
So we'll see. And I'm worried about it. I'm worried about their run game for the entire offense, quarterback, running back, O line, that whole thing. But if we do all those things, Mark, we have a shot. We have a
Yeah,
shot for sure.
and not to be, too overly pessimistic, but I'm kind of looking at this game like, it's going to be great to go on the road and beat one of the best teams in the National Football League. But if we take an L, it's not the end of the world, right?
No, it's not.
We're still in really good shape. And don't lose heart if we come home from Philadelphia with another loss. This team's still in a really good place. And I think they're on a march to the playoffs regardless of what happens in this game.
I agree. I agree in totality for sure. But I will say this: winning against the Eagles matters a
Oh,
whole lot. Playoff
yeah.
standings, conference standings, playoff seeding standings later in the year. Would this game decide, hey, you have to travel to Philadelphia again in the playoffs and the weather's going to be cold? It's inevitable. Do you really want that again, Rams? Probably not. Would this game even decide, hey, you have to go travel to the Green Bay Packers in a cold ass playoff game because you lost this one? Do you want that as a matchup? Probably not. So there is a lot on the line in this game. They need to treat this like a playoff game. Again, we still got months and months of games to play in the regular season, but this could be the difference between hosting Philadelphia, hosting Green Bay, hosting some other team that's popping off, and then traveling to cold weather or traveling to another arena where the Rams have not done a great job in the last couple of years of winning playoff games in other people's stadiums. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah. True that.
That is very, very true, Rams Nation. And with that said, we got to give you our early score predictions. Yes, it is Wednesday. Yes, we don't know exactly who is playing and who is not. We have an idea. We gave you our keys to victory of how this Ram team is going to win this game. And now, what do we think this final score is going to be? Mark, I'll start with you. What is your early score prediction for Rams Eagles week 3?
Well, I very rarely pick against the Rams. I'm going to use some reverse psychology here, though, at least for myself, anyways, if that makes any sense. I'm going to pick the Eagles in a low scoring game. Eagles 20, Rams 17. With that said, I think the Rams have a really good shot at winning this game. I think these two teams are closer than a lot of people realize. I understand the consensus pick is probably the Eagles. Makes perfect sense. I get it. But I think this Rams team is right up there in that top 5, 6, 7 teams in the league. And this could be a really competitive, fun game down to the wire.
I think it'll be a good game overall, which is why my early score prediction, everyone, is going to be 23-26. Rams lose this game, right? We're not going undefeated. That would be fun, but let's be real about it. And if we're going to lose to any team on the schedule, it would be the defending Super Bowl champions. And I do think we're going to score some points. But the red zone issues with McVay, and we've seen it for a gazillion years now, it feels like he has an issue punching it in the end zone, especially when we're at the doorstep of getting a damn touchdown. And we do not a majority of the time. But I think we're going to kick more field goals than we like. I do think we're going to be able to drive and move the football if we attack Adoree Jackson and double Jalen Carter, please. And I just have a bad feeling about the rushing attack. I just do. Until this Rams defense proves to us, proves to the NFL world that they are better at stopping the run, I can't buy that they're going to do it yet. Yes, Poona Ford was a fun signing. Yes, Nate Landman's playing awesome right now. When they do it, then I'll believe in this group to stop a Saquon, to stop a Jalen Hurts scrambling and running around. And when I see this front rushing the passer contain quarterbacks from scrambling, then I'll feel better about it. But until I am proven otherwise from this Rams team, I can't assume that they're going to suddenly just magically do all that against one of the best overall rosters in the entire NFL. So again, I got 23-26, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope this Rams team goes out there, kicks their ass, drops 40 on them, embarrasses that entire Eagles O-line and their defense. Unlikely to happen, but I got to see it to believe it, Mark, that all those things are going to come true for us to win the game. And I hope they do. But until then, I can't pick them to beat this team. They haven't done it in 2 straight games. And why is it going to be any different now?
Yeah, we'll see. And I'm coming from the same place as you. I think I do think that this Rams team has a score to settle,
Yeah.
and that may give them an edge. And we'll see what happens.
Yep. Devontae Adams, again, Puna Ford, Nate Lemon, the surprise signing. Another year of Puka. Tutu re-signed. I need all these guys to make their mark. Passing, stopping the run, getting to the quarterback, all that stuff. All these free agent signings that were paid a lot of money, or in Lemon's case, not paid a lot of money, but blossom into a Pro Bowl guy all of a sudden. Let's go, guys. You new
Yep.
guys and returning guys who are compensated highly. Let's go. This is the type of game we're going to find out how good this team really is and how good these signings, re-signings, additions really, really are. And we're going to find out, and I hope these Rams win, but I'll see it when I believe it. But I'll be rooting hard deep in my soul, Mark.
Yeah, fair enough. That's kind of how I feel. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this game, and hopefully the Rams show up and with an edge and come away with a W.
Yep. And Jared Verse out there, go ahead and crap talk all the Philly fans. And I need 2 sacks from you again. That'd be great. And we'll see. No snow, right? No blizzard. Everyone's footing will be in better spots, right? So it'll be interesting to see. And what a great matchup this game is going
Yeah,
to
and I think those Eagles fans actually love Jared Verse secretly. I think they really appreciate him.
Yeah, shout out to my my Eagles friends. Some of my best friends are Eagles guys, and they're not as insane as I guess Philly natives out there, but they all shared stuff of what Philly faithful people were saying. They're like, yeah, we appreciate Jerry Verse. He talked shit and backed it up. We respect it. So
Yeah,
uh,
right.
time to back it up again, Jared. D-line, we need you to win this game for sure.
And
So
don't tell them about Byron Young. He's our secret
yeah,
weapon right now.
yeah. The on this base he's going to be an All-Pro himself, which is great news for us.
Right.
So. Man, Rams Nation, whether you're going to be at home watching this game, like a majority of LA natives, whether you're traveling to Philadelphia, shout out to you. That's a hostile environment for a gazillion reasons. Be careful out there. And whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, wherever you are on planet Earth, rep your Rams, jerseys, hats, your pregame rituals, your special drink, your special jersey, whatever you got to do to get some good juju out there to Philadelphia for our Los Angeles Rams. Do what you got to do, right, Mark?
That's right. We'll get a W one way or another, maybe.
Yep. And we'll find out how good these Los Angeles Rams are. But win, lose, or draw, never forget, baby. Go Rams.